This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening, everyone. The mother of a missing Tasmanian man has made a desperate plea for her son to contact her. Naswari Waldemichel was last seen leaving his North Hobart apartment 12 months ago today, and police say they are no closer to solving the case.
12 months on, today an emotional anniversary for Harut Waldemichel.
He's going to be 21 next month.
Her son, Naswari Waldemichel, was last seen leaving his Trinity Hill, North Hobart apartment on October 9 last year. He hasn't been in contact since.
I feel so sad. I tried to do that spiritual connection with him, but it's not easy.
We've done bank checks, we've done phone checks, we've done social media checks. That's been quiet basically since the day he left Trinity Hill.
The university student had a car crash in 2014. It was so serious he was left in a coma with a long-term mental health condition requiring medication to stop paranoia. But Harut says he stopped taking the medication just before he disappeared.
I have no answer to say. I need an answer. I need a closure.
Police say they've received leads on the case, but they've amounted to nothing.
He may have self-harmed, he may have left the state, or he may have met with foul play, and all those avenues have been thoroughly investigated and we've come to nothing.
Anybody with information is asked to contact Crime Stoppers.
Any information they have, can they tell us? It doesn't matter good or bad.
Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
Well, there are fears for Tasmania's budget bottom line following the proposed changes to GST payments. The state government is vowing to fight a $1 billion shortfall, but the opposition believes it's a battle that may have already been lost.
Changes to the GST carve-up hard to swallow for the Premier. Strongly rejecting a tweak to the current payment system with fears for Tasmania's bottom line, less than 2 years after delivering a budget surplus.
We are actually a government that has fixed its budget, unlike the West Australians, of course, who are the chief complainers.
Changes proposed in this report could cost Tasmania up to $1 billion over 4 years. There's not a snowflake's chance in hell that we'll stand for that.
But Labor believes the battle may already be over.
The Federal Treasurer, Scott Morrison, who asked for this report, has now said today that Tasmania will need a transition plan.
That means that he's thinking about cutting Tasmania's GST share, and we can't afford to have a reduction in services in our health system or our education system.
Economists say today's proposal is better than expected, but even the preferred option will cost Tasmania.
It would mean some combination of increased taxes or lower government spending, and probably both.
Political manoeuvring to retain seats in Western Australia heralding bad news for the Apple Isle.
By contrast, the Coalition has no seats left to lose in Tasmania, no seats to be lost in the ACT or the Northern Territory, where it would also be to their disadvantage.
A tough fight for the Premier to keep the budget-boosting GST, to now build the case with interstate leaders.
If we're going to be penalised by a Commonwealth in the process, then we will argue against that strongly every day of the week.
Jacqueline Robson, Southern Cross News.
Police have questioned a 14-year-old male youth following reports a female jogger was allegedly assaulted on the Clarence Foreshore Trail yesterday. The teenager will be proceeded against under the Youth Justice Act. Police would also like to reassure the public that this was a rare incident and people shouldn't feel concerned about using the area. Police are searching for 2 offenders who attempted to ram raid a Tasmanian petrol station with a stolen vehicle. The BP in Youngtown has released CCTV of the incident that occurred soon after 3 o'clock yesterday morning. The offenders were unsuccessful with their ram raid attempt and fled on foot. They were last seen running up Highgate Street. BP says damage costs are estimated at $23,000. Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. A 25-year-old woman who allegedly threatened a taxi driver with scissors in Lenna Valley yesterday remains in custody. Barbara Kelty is facing charges of armed robbery and stealing. Police say the woman refused to pay for her taxi fare on Augusta Road, threatening the driver before taking off with a quantity of gold coins. The driver wasn't injured and the woman was arrested a short time later. Miss Kelty will remain behind bars with her case adjourned for November. A Tasmanian man accused of robbing a Mowbray ANZ bank at knife point last month has reappeared in the Launceston Magistrates Court. Marcus Dennis Main was expected to enter a plea in relation to several charges, including armed robbery, aggravated burglary and assaulting of a police officer. A representative of the 29-year-old's legal team requested the matter be adjourned. He's been remanded in custody to reappear in October. Attempts to boost Tasmania's brand will reach new heights with plans to create a new statutory body. Brand Tasmania will soon transition into an independent authority. The move is expected to increase resourcing and provide a clear vision for the state.
This gives us the opportunity to coordinate that effort so it's not so fragmented and bring it together, and so that we have some coherence with our narrative and our story that we tell to other people.
The transition will cost $1 million, with legislation to be introduced next year. Like a phoenix rising from the ashes, one of Tasmania's most iconic toy and gift shops has been reborn. La Trobe's Relicware reopening today after the original store burnt down 2 years ago. Its owners putting a modern twist on what's become a tourist attraction.
The facade is very similar to the old, but inside Relicware is a whole new world. The once two-storey building is now one level, but still features all its usual hidden gems.
I'm so glad they've come back. It's the best shop on the coast.
The tills were ringing hot as hundreds of customers took in the new sights.
They've got lots of fun things.
What's your favourite thing so far?
Maybe the big fluffy bears. I like the dinosaurs because they're really big and how they're made.
Oh, it's really interesting.
Yeah,
it's opened up a lot too. Yeah.
The cafe bit's cool.
Each door inside the store leads to a hidden treasure. Through the rabbit hole is Alice's Wonderland. You can enter into the Doctor Who universe or even be teleported to Diagon Alley. The store's quirks are the brainchild of its owners.
We had a couple of ideas and a couple of original ideas, and some people always were talking about doing Harry Potter as well, so we just went with all the ones that we enjoyed. And the dinosaur, my husband always wanted to have a dinosaur in the other one, and I said, we've got nowhere to fit it.
The original Relicware burnt down on Christmas Eve in 2015. A faulty switchboard caused the blaze and an estimated $3 million damage. Nothing could be saved, but the store is now back where it's always belonged. The owners of Relicware are overwhelmed with the opening day's success. They say it's been a tough 2 years, but are glad to begin the iconic store's second chapter.
It's been hard in lots of ways, and we have struggled, but we know where we're heading and look where we've got to now. So I'm really pleased that we've actually opened.
It's one of those unique businesses that draw people to a town. In our case, La Trobe. We're really fortunate to have them here. We could have easily lost them after the fire. They had offers to go elsewhere. And to their credit, they love La Trobe, and very, very much so. They're part of the fabric of La Trobe, and we hope that continues for decades to come.
Monica Dadson at Southern Cross News.
UTAS students may be subjected to having their end-of-year results withheld due to an ongoing pay dispute between the university and the National Tertiary Education Union. The NTEU says withholding the November results is an action it's likely to take if UTAS doesn't agree to its push for a 2% pay rise and altered employee conditions. Industrial action over the new EBA first began in August last year. The university says the process has continued longer than it had hoped, and that it paid a 1.5% interim pay increase to all staff in July. Former Independent Legislative Councillor Tony Mulder has today ruled out at a tilt at the Pembroke election. The 62-year-old was considering contesting the seat but will now back Liberal candidate James Walker.
As the Federal Senate does,
these sorts of casual vacancies, especially under these sorts of circumstances, should be filled by the party whose candidate has retired.
Mr Mulder is keeping his options open with the state election due in March. The Liberal Party is expected to reveal its pre-selected candidates in coming weeks. A Tasmanian company has created what's being described as a breakthrough for the agricultural sector. It's being trialled at 10 sites around the state, allowing farmers to access real-time data on their smartphones.
This is the piece of technology being described as a game changer for the agricultural industry.
We measure weather at farm, field, row, right down to the hotspot level. And then using artificial intelligence, we then can provide a hyper-localised prediction 7 days out.
Sensor Plus was developed here in Tasmania, now being trialled at 10 sites statewide. One of these sites is vegetable seed growing company Bejo, Tasmania.
It might be several kilometres away from where I am, or half a state away, and the phone can buzz, and then I could ring someone and say, hey, I think we need to respond.
Farmers can now manage their crops from their smartphones, a breakthrough allowing them to prioritise tasks. Normally, information is delivered from the Weather Bureau from sites up to 25 kilometres away.
More information allows you to make better decisions when you're Johnny on the spot.
This new technology measures factors such as temperature and moisture from a farm's microclimate, providing real-time information.
Tell them when to plant, when to irrigate, when to feed, how to protect and how to harvest.
For John at Pooley Wines, it means the crops just 17 kilometres apart will be treated differently due to the varying microclimate conditions.
Quite different between the two. So we can actually, if we can measure this information, we can actually manage it. And if something's happening at Richmond, we know more than likely it's going to be happening within a few hours at Campania.
Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
Last week we introduced you to the Tas Rocks craze taking over Hobart as school holidays began. Well, today it's safe to say the statewide rock hunt is in full swing, with hundreds turning out for the group's biggest flash mob rock drop to date. A moving sight for the mum who started the initiative after enduring the tragic loss of her father.
The enthusiasm of today's crowd even astounded the event's organisers.
We're really pleased with the turnout. Yeah, it's just grown so quickly, and it's just an amazing effort from all the Tasmanian parents and mums, grandparents, mums and dads and kids. It's wonderful.
And it's no wonder, given the group's Facebook following is now the third biggest in the country.
We're nearly at 16,500 now, so we're getting bigger every day. I think when we first started, Greta got it to within about 1,000 within weeks, and then I jumped on board, and it's just taken off since then. I mean, some days we have 200 new members to approve.
Those members like Fiona and Alice Dangerfield, who at just 8 and 9 years of age truly grasp what it's all about.
It's really fun and I like doing it. It just keeps me, instead of watching videos, it keeps me active. It's really fun.
You like your birds, don't you?
I like all my birds, and I like to hide things for other people and make them happy, but I also like them myself.
From the myriad of designs on display today, the state truly harbours some serious talent.
It's a made-up superhero, and I have found this other one, Snoopy.
I'm happy to make other children excited.
For Greta, watching on after bringing the craze to the state to help her and her family cope with the tragic loss of her father in South Africa, she was proud to dedicate the event to him.
I'm just so pleased because my dad would be so proud right now, and this comes from my dad.
Jessie Gilmore, Southern Cross News.
Tasmanian businesses are being urged to prioritise the well-being of employees. The push is part of this week's focus on mental health and also coincides with a new advertisement set to challenge perceptions.
The latest campaign is taking an altered approach to destigmatising mental health.
I love it. Dunno.
I agree, to a point.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
The Hobart Clinic is behind the We're All Mental campaign and says it's about challenging current perceptions.
And we're really challenging the notion of using the word mental.
Elsewhere, the focus was on the workplace, with the saying healthy body, healthy mind coming into play. Staff at the Menzies Institute, offering a strength and mobility class as the University of Tasmania, launched a new survey aiming to help the state's businesses.
We're trying to create a strategy for mentally healthy workplaces for the whole of Tasmania, and we're working with a number of different partners in the community.
Recent figures suggest that workplace mental health costs in excess of about $11 billion in Australia alone each year. So it makes really good business sense for organisations and employees to be paying more attention to this space.
It's really important that workplaces are mentally healthy, both to deal with the rising prevalence of mental illness in society, but also so businesses can reap the benefits of a more productive and engaged workforce.
And tonight, mental health advocates take to the stage in Launceston to present a youth mental health forum. Zoa is among those sharing their personal journey on the topic, and at just 19 years of age, she's motivated to make a difference after losing a friend to suicide.
Making everyone aware that not everyone feels the way you do at the time. It's wonderful to be happy, but it's also wonderful to be aware of the people that are around you and feel different.
And if you or anyone you know is struggling, Lifeline is available 24 hours a day. Jessie Gilmore, Southern Cross News.
The moment North Hobart Football Club faithfuls have been waiting for has finally arrived, with the club to officially return to its original name. The decision was put to a members' vote, with almost 80% throwing their support behind the change. It's a battle that's been raging for more than 3 years, and today the victorious majority celebrated a hard-fought win.
Keep your eye on the red and the blue.
Oh, it's a great result. It's not just for us, but I think for Tassie footy. You know, North Hobart's a famous brand and it's back.
Born out of a failed amalgamation between North Hobart and Hobart football clubs, then AFL Tasmania CEO Scott Wade made the decision to change the name of Australia's second most successful club, much to the anger of its loyal members.
To lose our name, it was heartbreaking, and it was just something that should never have happened. But we've got to look forward now.
But following a 3-week vote, the members have spoken, with 371 saying yes and just 118 saying no.
North Hobart's coming home in 2018 and we're going to be playing in our beautiful traditional red and blue jumper, and we could not be happier.
With some of the current board, including President Michael Dennehy, against the club returning back to its original name, an organisation restructure is likely to follow, with Martin keen to put his name forward for the club presidency.
Put in place some transition plans up to the AGM, which will be held in December. What the current members of the board do beyond that is their decision.
But for now at least, the North Hobart faithful are savouring the victory.
Today is one of them days I'm never going to forget. And I know now that if I die, I'm going to die happy.
In the hopes of clawing off the bottom of the JLT One-Day Cup ladder, the Tasmanian Tigers have brought in Australian keeper Matthew Wade, following his return from the Test series in Bangladesh and the ODI tour of India.
I'll probably bat in the middle order somewhere and hopefully use my power at the end to finish games. So, as I said, it's all about just trying to finding a way to contribute to the team to get a win.
The Tigers take on South Australia at North Sydney Oval tomorrow, with the side currently winless after 3 games. Wade replaces Jake Doran, who was admitted from the squad yesterday. It's a sport growing in popularity around the world, and one Tasmanian has made dragon boating a massive part of her life over the past 10 years. And all that hard work is paying off, with ALISON MOURANT heading to China to once again represent the country at the upcoming World Championships. At 59 years of age, ALISON MOURANT would put most fitness fanatics half her age to shame.
The last competition was in Canada. I represented Australia then, and prior to that was in Hungary, and I was lucky enough to be selected in that as well.
Now ALISON is preparing for her 3rd World Dragon Boat Championships in a row, paddling countless kilometres a week with a smartphone app relaying all the information to her national coach on the mainland.
He can read everything that we've done, as well as distance, what our power rate is and what our stroke rate is.
So you can't skip training?
No.
With racing to take place 2,000 metres above sea level in Kunming, China, Alison has also spent the past 6 months training with a specialty altitude mask.
It's a matter of sitting at home and gradually restricting the airflow in to increase the muscles in our lungs to try and help us along a little bit.
And after returning from the last World Championships with a lazy 5 silver medals, Alison is confident she can go even better this time around.
There's something about being out on the water that's calming and soothing, but I can't say that when it's competition because it's quite frantic.
Contested by crews from 25 nations, the 5-day championships kick off on October 18. A group of Tasmanians are daring to test themselves against some of the world's best carriage drivers, with Burnie's Gwenda Holland and Tamara Butler and Lymington's Stephanie Clark preparing to compete at the upcoming Combined Driving Championships.
A lot of twisting and turning. The groom on the back has to hold the cart down and stop it from spinning out, and it can get pretty wild.
The trio board the Spirit, horse trailers and all, in 2 weeks' time, with the championships to be held at the Bungendore Carriage Driving Club in New South Wales starting on November 4.
Good evening. Hobart and Launceston reached 18 today, Burnie and Devonport 17. Friendly Beaches the top, 21 degrees, as most temperatures sat about or just below average. St Helens 19, Campania 18, Wynyard Grove and Bushy Park all 17 degrees. Flinders Island 16, Lowhead 15 today, King Island and Strawn 14 degrees. Speckled skies shows the low-level cloud over Tasmania and the adjacent ocean. We also have extensive low and middle cloud over the southern ocean as well. A few bright thunderstorm cloud bands are over the north and east of the mainland. Now, the morning cloud came in from the north today, followed by a band from the west later on. A little bit about though. Tomorrow, the highs over New South Wales and Victoria, a front just to our south with another near Western Australia. Low pressure troughs over the continent complete the picture. West to northwesterly winds at 10 to 20 knots over the north, grading to 20 to 30 knots over the south, easing in the afternoon. A shift to the north will occur in the evening. Strong wind warning from Tasman Island to Low Rocky Point and from and including Flinders Island to St Helens Point. Hobart, a partly cloudy 18 tomorrow, 16 the top for Adventure Bay, a shower clearing from Tarraleah, 3 overnight, 13 the high. 17 for Launceston, 15 for Devonport and 16 for Bridport, partly cloudy conditions for those 3 centres, partly cloudy as well for Burnie, 15 the top, a shower or 2 for Strawn, 15 and 14 for Marrawar. For St Helens tomorrow, partly cloudy and 19. 19 also for Swansea, sunny for Whitemark on Flinders and 16 degrees. UV moderate over Hobart but high elsewhere. On Wednesday, light rain developing in the morning and increasing from the west in the afternoon, fresh and gusty northerly winds. Now for People's Day at the Launceston Show, maybe an afternoon shower. At this point, 30% chance of rain, a little windy later in the day around the state, and showers in the west and far south on Friday the 13th and pushing over the southeast later. Showers in Perth, partly cloudy in Adelaide and Sydney, sunny weather for Melbourne and Canberra, possible storm for Brisbane. Partly cloudy and 12 in Hobart. Right now in Launceston it's 15 degrees, mainly clear in Devonport and 13. Monday we come in with all this expectation, then we've got rain for most of the week ahead.
Oh well, might as well be at work then. Thanks so much for that, Merv. That's all from the news team for now. Thanks for your company. We'll see you a bit later. Bye-bye.